At the end of World War II, Germany's industrial sector was largely destroyed. Factories were bombed, equipment was seized, and production had stopped almost entirely. Among the industries most closely tied to the war effort were Germany's major automobile manufacturers. This video explains what happened to those companies after 1945, how they were treated by the Allied powers, how production resumed, and how these firms transitioned into the post-war economy. Volkswagen is a useful starting point. The company had been created in the late 1930s as part of a state-backed project to produce an affordable car. During the war, its Wolfsburg factory focused on military vehicles and relied on forced labor. After Germany's surrender, the factory came under British military control. British officer Ivan Hurst oversaw repairs and restarted production, primarily to supply vehicles for occupation forces. Rather than dismantling the plant, British authorities concluded it could serve a practical role in rebuilding transportation capacity. By the late 1940s, civilian production had resumed, and Volkswagen was transferred to West German control. The company later became one of the largest car manufacturers in the world. BMW followed a different path. Before and during the war, BMW focused heavily on aircraft engines and military production. Several of its factories were damaged or destroyed, and some were located in areas that became part of East Germany. Facilities in the Soviet occupation zone were dismantled or repurposed. The company's remaining Western operations were restricted from producing automobiles for several years. BMW initially returned to manufacturing motorcycles, then resumed automobile production in the early 1950s. Over time, BMW rebuilt its brand and production capacity, becoming a major global manufacturer. Daimler-Benz, now known as Mercedes-Benz, was another major wartime producer. During the conflict, the company manufactured engines, trucks, and military vehicles. Like other large industrial firms, it used forced labor during the war. After 1945, Daimler-Benz facilities were placed under Allied supervision. Production resumed gradually as restrictions were lifted. By the early 1950s, the company had returned to civilian automobile manufacturing and regained its position as a premium brand. Auto Union, the predecessor of modern Audi, experienced a more complex outcome. Before the war, Auto Union included brands such as Audi, Horch, DKW, and Wanderer. Its main factories were located in Saxony. After the war, those factories fell within the Soviet occupation zone. Assets were seized, and Auto Union ceased to exist in its original form. In West Germany, former managers re-established the company in Ingolstadt in 1949. Over time, Auto Union evolved into Audi, which later became part of the Volkswagen Group. Porsche's wartime involvement was primarily in vehicle design and engineering projects. After the war, Ferdinand Porsche was detained by French authorities for a period. His son, Ferry Porsche, continued the company's operations, shifting focus to sports car production. Porsche gradually established itself as an independent manufacturer and later became closely linked with Volkswagen through ownership and cooperation agreements. Not all German car manufacturers were German-owned. Opel was a subsidiary of General Motors, and Ford Werke was owned by the American Ford Motor Company. During the war, both produced vehicles and components for the German military under state direction. After 1945, these plants were treated as enemy assets during occupation. Production was suspended temporarily, then restarted under Allied supervision. Eventually, both companies resumed civilian production and were reintegrated into their parent corporations. In terms of accountability, industrial firms were not treated the same way as political or military leaders. While some executives were prosecuted in post-war trials, sentences were often limited in length, and many managers returned to industry within a few years. As Cold War tensions increased, Western Allied policy shifted toward economic reconstruction. A functioning industrial base was seen as necessary for stability in West Germany. This influenced decisions related to factory restoration, asset return, and sentencing reductions. For several decades, compensation for forced laborers remained limited. In 2000, the German government and private companies jointly created a large compensation fund for surviving forced labor victims. Many automotive firms contributed financially and supported historical research initiatives. Today, companies such as Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and Porsche publicly document their wartime histories. These efforts include archival research, museum exhibits, and educational programs.